Welcome to episode number 15 of The Roar, the show for all things Hershey Cubs, players, coaches, personnel, and news. I'm Joshua Gearhart, your host and broadcaster for the Cubs. Joining us today are the Bash brothers, Nicholas Zane and Aidan Gallagher. Thank you for joining us today, fellas, and how are we doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Gally, how are we doing, brother?
I'm doing good today. Had a
Good.
good day at practice. We're feeling good.
Yeah, I was going to ask you guys, did you have practice today?
Yeah,
Yeah.
The boys
yeah,
looking good?
yeah. Today's practice was good. Could flow with it.
You're coming off a huge win. I was talking to you earlier a bit about it, Zane. Against the Rockets Hockey Club, 5-4 in overtime. You picked up the 2 points. That's huge as we're getting right down to the playoff race here. Talk us through that game. How'd that game go for you guys?
I think Gally should start with this one.
All right, I'll start. I think it was a good game. We definitely should have secured the win earlier on. We were up by 2 goals with I think like 3 minutes left, so definitely should have secured that. But it was a good way to come out in the end in the OT.
Yeah.
I think we played well. We had some good offense that game. We were struggling to finish, but we had a bunch of chances, a lot of rushes by the D guys. But I thought it was a good game. We just should have secured it earlier.
Yeah, and that happens sometimes. Zane, your take on that game?
I wasn't in that game, but it was fun to watch the boys from the stands, and good. I was fun to support them too.
Absolutely. So, we'll kind of provide a little bit of a background knowledge on you guys both before we get into this for our listeners at home. So, can you guys both kind of indulge into your previous, endeavors and your previous teams that you played for before, committing to the Cubs and playing here at Hershey? What was it like, the skill level wise, and who did you play for? You guys, it
All right,
doesn't matter who starts on this one. Yeah.
here you want to go?
I'll go first again. All right. So last year I was at the New Jersey Titans. I was playing both 18U and Null 3.
Oh, wow.
So that was pretty fun. Got a little bit of junior experience there, got some 18U experience, played a lot of games. Before that, I was with the Rockets. I played both 16U and junior elite there. So same thing, a little bit of junior experience, lots of games. I really like that experience. Other than that, um, I've been just kind of trying to get better over time. A lot of skating this summer to get my hands better because I was kind of struggling with that last year. Um, I did 2 teams over the summer, one at the Chowder Cup and one at the pre-draft, both up in Boston. That was pretty fun. Probably some of the best hockey I played at the Chowder Cup with Artie for Eurostar.
Oh,
So
wow.
that was pretty good.
That's a very elite tournament. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Chowder Cup's like one of the best tournaments on the Boston area.
Yeah, it was fun.
Nicholas, take us through your prior, playing days before you came to the sweetest place on earth here in Hershey.
Um, so last year I played for the Philadelphia Hockey Club 18U in New Jersey, and then I also played for a prep school that I went to, St. Augustine, also in South Jersey. And over the summer, I did the Chowder Cup and the pre-draft as well. I played Team Warrior for Parsons,
Oh, wow.
and yeah, so
Now he's the guy from LVC, correct? Correct me if I'm wrong on
yes, he's
that.
the coach
Yeah,
of LBC. Yeah,
that's impressive. Did he ask you, like, did he recruit you for his team, or how did that kind of work? How did that process kind of work?
yeah. I played on his teams before for previous summer, and went
Yeah.
to some of his camps. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, you talk about your previous experience for both of you, but like what made that decision for you guys to say, "Hey, I want to come to the Cubs. I want to sign with that Cubs." What made you make that decision? What was like the influential factor you guys coming here to Hershey?
I think the biggest thing for me was just that I wanted to keep moving up in the leagues. My options when it kind of came time to sign were either go back to the Null 3 at either Titans or somewhere else or come here. So I decided to come here.
Yeah, I mean, I think you
And
made
I had a couple good recommendations. I know Marco Taffa. I played with him when we were 16. He told me that it was a good spot. So
yeah, I mean, I think it's paid off for both of you guys, Marco and you. And then Nicholas, what was how'd you end up coming to Hershey?
Um, Well, I actually learned of Hershey through Parsons.
Okay, that
Talking
makes
through
sense.
him.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and I just felt it was the right fit for me. Like the location's beautiful.
Yeah,
I
it's
love it out here.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is my kind of country. And
Yeah.
yeah, and I want to play college hockey, so definitely juniors was the next level for me.
You talk about Hershey being a fantastic location. What makes it for you stand out, above all the rest? Is it the chocolate? Is it the amusement parks? Is it the history? Is it the hockey? Kind of go into that a little bit here.
Um, Definitely pretty cool history.
Yeah.
Definitely pretty cool history, and I just like the area around it. I'm not really too fond of the city. I like
I'd agree
open
with you on that.
area.
Yeah, I'm more of a
Yeah,
down home kind of guy. I'm not
yeah,
the city life is nice at times, but like there's just too much going on at times. It's just nice to kind of escape the crazy and bustle and hustle and just live it up because Hershey's got both. It's got the city life a little bit, but it's got that country rural life kind of
yep.
mixed
Out
in.
past Harrisburg.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's funny because like when you look at Hershey itself, like everything, and if my parents watch, it's gonna be funny because my mom always quoted saying this. Everything big is like slammed down in the middle of a cornfield, right? So you have like a world-class hospital right in front of a cornfield. And then you have, the giant centers, the Hershey Park arenas, all of them like were originally cornfields that they had to like carve out and make, this massive entertainment complex that is now probably like the biggest entertainment complex in the world. But you guys had a chance to come over here before the season started and ride the roller coasters at Hershey Park, I believe,
yeah.
early in the fall. Do you have a favorite roller coaster you both rode?
I don't remember the name of it, but it's definitely the yellow one.
Oh yes, Sky
Yeah,
Rush,
yeah.
Sky Rush.
Sky
Yeah,
Rush.
yeah,
Yeah, we did that one. That one was fun.
yeah. Did you guys run on the edge, or did you guys run in the middle of like the train? Were your eggs like your legs dangling?
I
I'm
was
pretty
off the
sure I
edge.
was on the edge.
Dude,
Yeah, I was
the
on.
edge is terrifying. Edge is terrifying. That first drop though too is absolutely nuts. It's crazy how quick you go down that drop. And you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
whoa,
Yeah.
yeah. Was Sky Rush your favorite too, Gally?
Yeah, that one was fun. It's real fast. I like that.
Yeah, that one was a lot of fun. My favorite personally is probably the newest, the Wildcats Revenge one. I don't know if you guys got a chance to ride that
Yeah.
one. Yeah,
That one
I
was
like that one too.
that one's awesome. So, you guys are both defensemen. So, what is the toughest aspect of playing defense, right? What kind of defensive schemes do the Cubs tend to run? And are they different from from what you were used to playing with your old clubs? And if you
I
guys
guess
want
I
to,
got here.
yeah, we'll go with Gally and
Yeah.
take it first from now on.
yeah.
So I don't know. I think that it's a pretty basic D system. It's not too different from any other team. We recently started doing a little bit harder on our individual man, which was a little bit different to get used to since I've never really done that before. But other than that, it's a pretty standard D system. I'd say in general, the hardest part of a defenseman is just that you kind of always have to have in the back of your mind that there might be someone behind you or there might be someone sneak into the net that isn't necessarily like your man. Um, so not that we have to cover for other players, but we just have to be aware that guys might get in spots that are a little bit unpredictable.
Yeah, that's a great way to think about it. Nicholas, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah. I'd say the same. It's not a complicated D system, and yeah, we're running a new system right now, and it's new to me too. So I like it.
Everyone's on a learning curve kind of right now,
Yeah,
breaking it
yeah.
in right before the playoffs. But there's things I want to also mention here too. Like the penalty kill this year has been really strong for Hershey, right? You guys have been very successful when you're down a man. Talk us through that. That's not easy being down a man and trying to kill off a power play with a lot of great teams in this league. Talk us through how you're able to be so successful in the penalty killing this year.
Um, I think one of our big reasons is we're not too we don't give a lot of leeway to enter the zone, I'd say. Like coach wants us right up on our blue line and not wanting them to enter
Yeah, I mean that's
the
a great
zone.
way to
Yeah.
kind of close off that blue line.
Hmm.
Gally, what's your take on this?
I'd say that we just have a good balance this year of making sure that we're containing and staying inside so that they don't get any good like quick shots or inside scoring opportunities. but at the same time, we're being a little bit aggressive, maybe pushing to try and pin the guy in the corner if he fumbles the puck, or maybe if the D at the point gets his head down, the forward will jump out quick. So it's kind of a good balance to get us some offense, even when we're man down, or at least kill it off good. But at the same time, we're being extra protective of the inside.
Absolutely. So,
Yeah. Oh,
yeah, go
sorry.
go ahead. Go ahead. Absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely say we have an aggressive penalty kill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen that times too. Like there'll be times where like there's guys on the other team right along the blue line, and you guys will press so hard on that blue line. And like a lot of times we'll see opportunities offensively created of that. I mean, Carson Grady, I believe, him multiple times. I've watched him have breakaways and other forwards like David Cook or McKay, you name it. You
Yeah.
guys are able to pressure on the back end, and that forces the defenseman up top to pinch, and they make a mistake, and then you guys are going 200 feet the other way. Like that's a really great way that I've seen the penalty killing unit come together and work together as a unit. And that's something I've seen as well. You're not working individually, right? You're working as an entire unit. And that's a huge reason why I think you guys are successful. But you know, you know, what would you define your playing style? Are you either an offensive defenseman? I mean, I know Gally, I see you jump up a lot of times on the rush. I see you take the puck on the left wing and you're off like Lightning McQueen in the Piston Cup. And then, or are you a stay-at-home defenseman? And where have you gotten that style from? And, why do you guys choose that style of play?
Go first here. I think my style of play is definitely offensive, like you said. That probably comes from the fact that I'm technically an offenseman. Um,
Yeah, because I saw you
I
listed under the USPHL as a forward. I was like, I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure
I
he's a
signed this
defenseman.
year to be a forward at the
Yeah.
beginning of the year, and then talked to Brennan first week of training camp, said he needed some D help, and he knew I was able to play since I was playing D over the summer and the past year. So I've been playing D since. I think I feel a little bit more comfortable at offense, but I think that I'm able to play D fine. But I do think that having a lot of offensive skill helps my defense, because I'm able to rush and protect the puck pretty well. So.
Yeah, that's one thing I will say because like that's not an easy transition per se because an offensive forward has a lot different way they see and play the game. So how was your transition? Was it an easy transition or was it very difficult for you?
It wasn't that bad because I've done this a bunch in my life. I played offense when I was younger. I got to high school. I played 4 years of defense there, played forwards for juniors, defense for 18s. So it was kind of a mix up for me. So I'm kind of used to it, but it is a little bit of a challenge. I'm not gonna lie. When
Yeah.
the day before, coach sends the lineup out at night and you're suddenly a forward and you're not sure. You
Yeah.
haven't been paying attention to the routes and stuff for a week. So
Yeah, that could be definitely a challenge, I would say. Like I was always a forward. So for me it was all right, know your role on offense and stick to it, and not
yeah,
have to jump between defense
yeah,
and offense. That would be very, very difficult. And I could, kudos to you for making that jump.
yeah.
But then, Zane, how would you define your playing style? Are you a guy that likes to get on the rush, or are you a more of a stay home, kind of lock down the defensive zone type guy?
Um, Looking at me, you would probably think stay at home, but I do like to get in the rush. I love to get in the rush.
Yeah, I was about to say you both have a
But
knack for the front of the net, and I'll never forget. I think your first goal, I was calling your first goal, and you weaved your way right in on them. I'm like, oh my goodness, Zane out here just making moves like he's in Talladega Nights. But that was
yeah,
you guys got some moves. I will say, defensemen, it can go either way. You got your Luke Hughes or your Dougie Hamiltons who are the stay at home or an offensive guy. But you guys have both been locked down in the defensive zone and then transitioned that into offensive opportunities. Is there a game for both of you that sticks out in your mind as like, hey, like I had a really great offensive play this game, or take us back to one of your favorite games that you think you played defensively and offensively this year? We'll start with you then, Gally.
Um, I think one of my favorite games defensively was probably, um, I think it was I don't remember, maybe second or third time playing Rockets, and we were at home, and I think we
Oh,
beat them in
yes.
overtime.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And we were struggling offensively that game, but I think the D guys really came together and stepped it up that game because we kept a lot of stuff outside that could have gone the other way, and then we managed to squeak out the win in the end. But that was just a solid defensive game. Had some good back checks and stuff that game.
And then Zane, what was your like one of your favorite games that you think you played?
Um, I'd have to say I love the Elmira games. Every time we
Mm.
play Elmira, I love those games.
Yeah, I would agree with
Yeah.
that. They're a fun team to play against, and they're competitive. They're gritty.
Yeah,
They're
it's a good
tough.
route. I'd say it's our best rivalry.
Really?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would agree.
I was
Yeah,
gonna say,
I'd say they're our
who do you
rival.
guys think is the biggest rival right now for the Cubs? You're thinking Elmira?
I would say Elmira for sure. I think
Yeah,
that they match our
I,
skill level pretty good. I think that
yeah,
anytime we play them, it could go either way depending on who's there to win.
I'd even say, the Rockets and the Pal Junior Islanders have been really good series. I know,
hmm
unfortunately, we dropped the series, season series against the Pal Junior Islanders, but every time you guys play them, like it's neck and neck. It's not a, blowout or it's not a close, it's close, it's always close games. So it's
yeah.
either overtime wins or regulation lost by one. I mean, they're tight battles and they're always fun to call. But then, this is the question I really wanted to get in with you guys for today. So, hitting, it's a huge part of playing on the back end. So, how do you both manage to time up the perfect collision to regain puck possession? And I'm Zane, I'm going to have you start on this one because I have seen you make some monstrous hits this year that are just absolutely terrifying on someone who used to play forward and stands at 5'2". I would hate going against someone like you. Talk us through some of the hits you make this year, man.
Um, sorry. Like, what do you mean? Like,
Yeah, so like, how are you able to kind of angle yourself and make that perfect hit in timing, right? Timing is so important when you're trying to separate the player from the puck. How are you able to kind of time that hit out so perfectly?
um, I'm gonna be completely honest. I probably got a lot of my training for hitting. I played football freshman year. Got a
I can
lot of
kind of
that.
tell. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
I
I
took
kind of
I
tell.
took hitting classes for hockey too.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, okay.
yeah, and definitely I watch the shoulders a lot. So
Mm. Is that like a key thing to making a perfect hit, watching the shoulders? Like for goalies, it's watch the eyes, right? Watch the eyes and watch the puck.
mhm.
But for defensemen, when you're making that hit, is it watching the shoulders? I mean, you guys probably know more about
Yeah,
it than I do.
because basically, like the rules, you got to hit him pretty much in this box
Right, right.
for like a clean hit. So his shoulders could go either way depending on he could make a move, and you got to adjust to that and make the hit.
And then Gally, what's your take on this? I've seen you line up some guys pretty well as well.
Um, I don't really know. I agree with the whole watch the shoulders thing. I was always taught watch the chest because
Okay.
if you're trying to hit the guy, it doesn't really matter what his hands are doing in terms of moves. He can toe drag you twice, but if you step up and hit him, he'll go down and he won't have the puck. So biggest thing is just watch the chest. If he's, dropping his shoulders, trying to head fake you, you got to be aware of that. Try not to bite too hard in one direction. Um, and I think the other thing is, especially when you're angling and you're kind of going the same direction as the guy rather than backing off, you can kind of control it a little bit using your stick and body to angle him where you want in order to hit him. So if he's coming down, you can kind of angle him more towards the wall to block him off, or vice versa. You can push him to the middle towards your other D guy or a back checking forward.
And I was always taught to when I played, you're not always trying, to put the guy in a body bag to say it, right,
Yeah.
you're trying to separate the puck from the player. I mean,
Yeah.
that is the goal and the objective of a hit, to separate the puck and the player and then get the breakout going the other way. So that kind of leads me to our next question here with the breakouts. How do you guys formulate your breakouts? Who's in charge of that? And how do you guys kind of communicate while you're in the breakout?
Um, I'd say a lot of the breakout comes from the communication with the D and the goalie.
Hmm.
Definitely the D to D talk and the goalie. The goalie's our eyes when we're turned, and
No,
so is our
that's yeah.
partner. Yeah.
And yeah,
So
yeah, go ahead. Yeah, keep going.
yeah, so definitely they're a huge part, our partner and the goalie, and we work on breakouts a lot in practice. I'd say, and it's clean. I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, I would always have seen you guys make some pretty clean breakouts. And Gally, what's your take on the whole breakout thing as well?
I agree with the goalies. I think that the goalies are probably the most important part because we can look over our shoulders as we're coming down, but the goalies really can see the whole ice as we're coming back. They can tell us if there's a guy on our backs, what's open. Um, and then beyond that, just whichever D's off puck, also doing the same thing, looking up ice, telling, D to D, turn right up, put it right up the wall, whatever. I think that that's probably the most important part is just making sure that that guy knows pretty much exactly what to do as soon as he touches the puck.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you guys more. So, I got to ask too, every time you kind of reach that new level, every player has that welcome to whether it's, in this case, USPHL moment. So, what do you guys remember being your welcome to the USPHL moment? Was it a big hit? Was it a huge shift? What was your moment that you realized, like, hey, like, this is the big boys, this is the big leagues, time to buckle the chin strap and time to keep going?
Um, I'd say mine was the first game of the season against Elmira. You know, I've always usually been the biggest guy on the ice, but I got guys out there that are, I mean, yeah, usually smaller than me, but guys my height too.
I was about to say, look at your own
Yeah,
goaltender, Marc-Antoine Dedeaux, sitting at 6'10"
yeah,
now.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it was a reality check when you realize, like, hey, like I got some competition now, and probably like when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to being the biggest guy on the ice. Did you have, that moment where you realized like, or you got a big hit where you're like, oh, I gotta like play up to these guys, or I gotta, watch my back, keep my eyes up, something like that.
Yeah, that whole game, the whole first game was like physical, really physical.
Yeah,
So just that whole moment.
absolutely. Gally, what was your welcome to the USPHL moment?
Um, it's not really a specific moment. I just think that you know, never in my life have I been in a situation where every time you touch the puck, there's a guy right on you. And we've been playing some of these better teams. Um, like specifically, we had Wilkes and then Utica the last weekend was pretty good at it. They had a pretty hard forecheck.
Utica
Every
was tough.
time you pick up the puck in the corner, there's a guy right on you, ready to hit you, poke the puck away, whatever. There's a guy right on whoever you're trying to pass it to. I think that was just the biggest thing is that there's a lot less time and space against these teams that are good on the forecheck or just good systematically in general.
Another team that was really good at it too was the Pal Junior Islanders, in those
Yeah,
2-game homestand that you had right before winter break. They were really good at what I noticed is clogging up the neutral zone, and they would transition right above the blue line, and then in the zone
yeah,
they would go. So that was probably tough for you guys as defensemen to kind of regroup so quickly like that on the fly and be ready for an on-man rush.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so this is also gonna be a fun question here as well. So I want you guys to have fun with this one. We have witnessed both of you light opposing players up like it's the 4th of July. So take us through your best legal hit, fellas. Legal hit, all right, so far this season. What was your hit this season that stands out to you the most? That'd be like, that's what I'm gonna put on my highlight reel.
Um, I don't really remember the team, but it was a team in Michigan in that showcase, and it was. You remember the game where there was like the big fight at the end of the game and
Yes,
all that?
yes, yes.
Yeah. So that game was everybody was talking a lot of smack talk and all this. Yeah, and their biggest guy,
Of course, it's
yeah,
always the biggest guy.
yeah, their biggest guy tried fighting one of our players. So when he got the puck and had a breakaway, I came on his side and put my shoulder right through him,
Said,
and he did a
said,
flip, and I got a cut from it. I don't
oh
know,
my goodness, he's
but
got the scar. He's got the scars to
yeah, I
show
got the
for
scar
it.
to prove it. I got a scar to prove for it. Yeah,
Oh my goodness. You sent him into next week, brother.
yeah.
So you heard from Zane. Gally, what was your biggest hit so far this season? Of course, like I mentioned, make sure it's legal, nothing from the behind numbers or anything like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Those
I
don't
had a
count here,
pretty good
fellas.
one against Rockets this past weekend. But I can't take full credit for it because I kind of sandwiched the guy with Evan Singer. That was a pretty big one, but I think my favorite this year was not the first Elmira game, but the second one. Just a nice clean. They tried to make a stretch pass. I was coming off the bench right across the blue, hit him as soon as he turned to go down ice. Just a nice clean big hit, leveled the guy.
Gotta love it. So, also something I want to touch on here as well is I think one of the hardest things for defensemen is to kind of counteract an odd man rush. Defending an odd man rush, whether it's a 2-on-1, 3-on-1, you name it. Those are probably one of the hardest things you guys have to handle as defensemen. And sometimes we've seen those a lot in games where you guys have stepped up and defended those perfectly and flawlessly. How were you guys able to step up in those big moments and help out your goaltender?
Um, I'd say I just got to go back to the basics. We work on it in practice: 2-on-1s, 3-on-2s, sometimes 3-on-1s in the drill. But just go back to the basics. Remember that, and also in the back of your head, you got to remember, like, I'm the last guy standing in between these three guys and our goalie. So you
Yeah.
just gotta make the make the call.
Gally, your take on this then.
Like Zane said, it goes back to practice. We practice it a lot. We have, even if they are simple, we do have some plans in place on what we're supposed to be doing on an odd man rush. Kind of similar to the breakout, the goalies help us out too. They'll let us know kind of what the guys off our far shoulder are doing, if they're cutting hard or if they're staying wide. And then also kind of like I said with hitting before, as a D guy, we are able to kind of control the offensive players a little bit, whether it be with our stick or body. We can kind of angle them, try to keep a guy outside more, maybe make some time for a back checker to get back, or worst case, just lay down, hope they don't sauce it over you.
Has that ever happened to you guys before? You're like, oh boy, I was in perfect positioning and the puck just went over me.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do in those situations. And you knew you back check perfectly, but sometimes you still
Yeah.
get beat, and that's so tough to kind of
Yeah.
get back to the bench realizing that. But you know, you guys have made it to a very high level of hockey in the USPHL Premier. So, what is your advice to younger defensemen out there? And we're talking like real younger kids out there who have aspirations of playing at a higher level. What would you tell them that you wish you would have known as a younger kid playing the game?
I'll go first on this one.
Yeah.
Um, I would say the biggest thing for me, and I don't know if this is just me or not. I'm an Eagle Scout, so maybe it comes from that. I always try to be a leader no matter where you are, whether it be on the ice, in the weight room, just try and get yourself out there, be spoken. Coaches like that, scouts like that. Scouts like if they see you talking on the ice, whether it just be to call out a guy cutting on the back door, calling for passes, being vocal, all that stuff. Definitely helps. And I think the biggest thing is whether or not you have a C on your chest, whether or not you're the starting lineup guy, you can always, encourage somebody. You can always pull someone aside, say, hey, listen, I think coach wants us to do that a little differently. Maybe you can take a different route next time to be in a better spot. Any of that stuff, I think is definitely helpful.
Absolutely. Zane, your take on this then.
Yeah, definitely think the same as Gally. Whether you're a rookie or a vet or anything, you always gotta at least lead. You gotta
Yeah.
lead in some way.
You
Show an
got
example.
yeah.
Definitely.
Be an example on and off the ice is a huge
Yeah.
piece of advice these kids can definitely benefit from. So, there's tons of great examples you guys could pick from out here, but I want to see your take on this. What NHL defenseman, current NHL defenseman, do you model your game after the most and why?
This is a tough question.
Yeah.
That didn't mean to stump you boys. It can be a past defenseman. It can be any defenseman that you might have grown up watching as a kid or someone you like to watch now.
I got one if you're ready.
Okay.
I like watching Dougie Hamilton play. I don't really
Yeah.
know if he's my play style or not, but I like the way he plays. He's pretty solid defensively. I like the way he moves the puck in the O zone. He always seems to find like the backdoor guys or the seam passes.
Yeah.
And same thing in the regroups. I think he's got good ice vision. He seems to hit the stretch passes and the guys that you wouldn't expect to be getting the puck pretty often.
He's got a great skill set. Zane, who is it for you?
I actually don't have an answer to this one. I really don't. I
Do,
really
do you
don't.
do you watch NHL, man?
I don't.
You
I'm
don't?
gonna be completely honest. I don't. I watch football. I watch the
Oh wait, who's your
NFL.
team? We got to talk about this. Who's your team?
I'm South Jersey Phillies. I'm
All right.
yeah. I'm a Philly
North
fan.
Jersey. I'm a
So
Philly fan too.
Eagles,
You know,
Eagles all
it
day.
was it was a rough ending to the year for the Philadelphia
Yep.
Eagles. What's you guys' take on what needs to be done at Philadelphia? If you were a couch GM in this moment, what are you doing?
Definitely think they need to stop making Jalen Hurts the franchise player.
Really? You think so?
I do. I think they try to make the game all about him, making set plays for him, and just he's got teammates. Let's use his teammates.
Do you think he's the future in Philadelphia, or do you think they need to move on from Hurts?
I think that he can definitely develop and be the future for Philadelphia, but they just gotta stop making him be a one-man show.
Yeah. I
That's all
definitely
they do.
agree with that. What do you I believe they also just fired both offensive and defensive coordinators as well, so that should be
Mhm.
a good
Yeah, I
move.
think we should hire back Dougie, and that'll give us some good
The security guard, Dougie. But yeah, no, I'm a Steelers fan, so I don't really have much room to talk. Our postseason did not end well either. But yeah, no, I don't understand because they started off the year so hot. They were like the top team in the NFC, and then the wheels fell off the wagon, and it was bad.
I think the whole NFL just collectively figured out how to
Stop
stop
the
the
tush,
QB sneak, and then
yeah,
Uh,
stop
yeah,
the
the
tush
tush push.
push. Do you
and
guys
that was about it.
do you guys think they'll ban the tush push?
I don't think they will.
I know
I
there's a
think
lot
if
of
it was on average, like they got like a yard and a half per try. I think if it was like even half a yard better on average, that they would have banned it because it was, just good enough that they were winning games with it, but it
Yeah,
wasn't like truly unstoppable. So I don't think it'll be banned unless a team does it again next year and somehow does it better.
but
yeah.
I truly think at the beginning when they started doing it, I think that they could have gotten more yards. They just held back.
Yeah,
But
that's yeah.
then teams started to figure out how to play against it. So
And that's kind of when the Eagles just took a nosedive, unfortunately.
mhm.
But do you guys think yeah, Nick Sirianni, should stay at the helm of the Eagles, or do you guys think they should look for a new head coach?
I think he's got to go.
You think he's gotta
I think
go? You're
Got to
pulling the
go.
plug on him. What do you think, Gally?
I don't know. I wasn't the most happy with him this year.
I think you got to give him one more year to see what he can do. But then I don't know. I don't think you pull the plug on him after this year, Zane. He got you guys to the Super Bowl.
The team got us to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
team was
Yeah.
really good that year. I will say that. I will do some compliments to the team. But we'll finish up here at this last question. We'll make it quick. As the playoffs are rapidly approaching, what is the mindset going into the final stretch of the regular season action here? Not much games left in the schedule. Got a lot of big games left though, and the schedule does not get any easier down the road. So how are we going to go into these games with the right mindset, fellas?
Well, I've been just trying to focus on past mistakes. So I went over in the coach's office and looked over film and tried to pick out, I got to fix this. I got to fix this. And I just got to clean up the game.
Yeah, that's definitely important to look within yourself and kind of see where you can kind of grow upon. Self growth is always something that's going to help you develop as a player. And then Gally, what's your take on this as well as we wrap it up here?
I think hard work is always one of the things I push. You can beat a lot of skill if you just outwork them and make them feel like they don't want to play anymore. So I think that there's definitely some teams out there that we've been close with that if we show up and we work hard, we can beat. And I think that trickles into practice and everything else. We just got to keep working hard every day. Season's coming to an end. If we let off the gas and settle in, we're not going to be able to go very much farther.
And I'll wrap this episode up with the famous quote from the 1980 Olympic coach Herb Brooks when he said, "Hard work outworks talent when talent doesn't work hard enough." I'm sure you guys have heard that many times before, but going down to the playoffs, it doesn't really matter. The talent level on the other side of the ice matters how far you're willing to work and if you're willing to outwork the other team on the other side of that draw. But with that, Nicholas Zane and Aidan Gallagher, or should I say the Bash Brothers, thank you for joining us on this edition of The Roar. I'm Joshua Gerhart. Find us on YouTube, Hershey Cubs The Roar, as well as at Hershey Cubs on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, or Hershey Cubs on Facebook. Hit that like button, subscribe, and or follow us on all accounts. Fear the